Why isn't Gladys griping for JobKeeper from Josh? What happened to Wall Street's worry about the Delta drama? And was Bluescope's beat yesterday a sign that company profits will go through the roof? I'm Peter Switzer, he's Paul Rickard, and we're mad about money. For those wondering why we're doing it this way, well, the Zoom makes it impossible for us to yell and scream at the same time. But Paul, first question, why isn't Gladys griping about JobKeeper?
Well, I think we might see that today, Peter, when we get potentially this 4-week lockdown, which coincidentally has been leaked to everybody, so it must be the truth, Peter. That's the only reason they're doing it. So maybe that's a way of putting more pressure on Josh and for JobKeeper and other support. I mean, what do you think? I sort of think that there's a lot of federal government money being thrown around here. JobKeeper looks not the holy grail that people make it out to be, given that it was only got down to in the third wave, it was $1,000 a fortnight, wasn't it, from memory? So look, what's your take, Peter?
Well, I wouldn't mind a different kind of JobKeeper as long as it gets to the businesses, particularly CBD ones and those local businesses that have been shut down. Clearly a suburban cafe that has queues going miles long doesn't need any help whatsoever. But I do think this, Paul, New South Wales and Gladys, they kept the whole thing open. It's the biggest economy in the country. It's 30% of GDP. And if Gladys didn't actually do the old gold standard coronavirus treatment that she was praised for, well, Josh wouldn't have unemployment at 4.9%. His budget deficit would be miles bigger. So he's got the money to help Gladys, and she needs some help, because if she doesn't get some help pretty well soon, she could be curtains, even though no one even knows who the opposition leader is in Chris Minns.
Chris who?
That's right, I knew you'd say that. Yes, he's a new opposition leader. He'd be laughing this morning, jumping up and popping champagne, because Gladys is in trouble unless something good happens. 4-week extension. She's got the writers hating her. She's got Labor voters that always hate her. And now small business and their employers would be wondering whether they should keep on loving Gladys. So I think she really has to push Josh to give some JobKeeper. This story, Paul, what happened to Wall Street worrying about the Delta strain?
Well, look, I'm not sure it's totally given up on the Delta strain, Peter, but I think what we're seeing in the US at the moment is that earnings season there is an absolute gangbuster, right? You cannot argue company after company are coming out with beats, and they're big beats, right? So that's providing ongoing support. And fundamentally, share markets are about company profits. And when you're getting strong company profits, that's good for share markets. And the outlook statements, Peter, haven't been too bad so far. So look, maybe Delta's just going to wash over in the US. Maybe we in Australia, we're making too big a deal of it. But US case numbers are rising, hospitalizations are rising, but the US stock market, well, it just wants to keep sailing.
And what I found interesting, Paul, was vaccination rates are really important for the US, Europe, and the UK. And I did read this morning that UK caseloads are actually starting to ease off after spiking pretty aggressively at one stage. So it's going to be very interesting. I think the vaccination rates are going to be really important for the economic outcomes for various economies right around the world. Let's go to
Peter, Freedom Day hasn't actually translated yet into virus day. So if anything, vaccination rates are falling in the UK following Freedom Day. But look, time will tell. I mean, I think maybe Australians, we're just a bit more scaredy cats. I don't know, but the rest of the world's moving on. And I think we have to a little bit here as well.
Yeah, I did read a great article in the Sydney Morning Herald Age today by a guy who did the numbers. And he basically said the likelihood of dying from a clot related to AstraZeneca would be, imagine this, you got the MCG, what takes about at least 100,000 people. He said, give yourself 10 MCGs and 2 people might die. That's about 2 in a million. Extraordinary.
But they keep downplaying this. Most of the UK got AstraZeneca, right? So that's
and Paul, they've had 35 deaths out of something like I think 52 million have had one shot or something like that. The numbers were quite extraordinary, and they're really small. Become an annual Switzer Report subscriber and get unprecedented access to my 7 investing principles, where I reveal the exact strategies I use to invest. You'll get access to an exclusive PDF, video recording, and even a free copy of my book, Join the Rich Club. With a 30-day money-back guarantee, a Switzer Report subscription is one of the wisest investments you can make towards your future. Find out more at switzerreport.com.au/YouTube offer, or click on the link in the description below. Finally, Paul, let's go to Bluescope's beat yesterday. You reckon this is a great sign for Aussie companies' earnings and possibly share prices?
Look, I think it was a really great outcome for Bluescope. What Bluescope did yesterday was ahead of earnings season. It actually telegraphed it was way above its own guidance in terms of its earnings. Look, it's done really well because of its operations in the States. The economy's booming, still margins are up. I think it's a really good sign for what we're coming into, Peter, that companies that have got businesses offshore, and there's been such a big rebound. We've seen it with the US reporting numbers. We've seen it here locally with our own statistics about the unemployment rate being so low, the GDP rate being so low. I think we're going to get a lot of really positive surprises in earnings seasons. Now, what that actually means for our market, that's positive. The trouble is we may then get a little bit cloudiness around the outlook because of what's happening in New South Wales. But don't be surprised if we get some really good numbers and the initial reaction of the market is to take the market higher. That's why our market has gone up each day. It's done pretty well the last couple of weeks, and I reckon we're going to go a little higher, Peter, as we get into earnings season and we start to see the numbers. So for me, read Bluescope as a really big positive for what's to come out the next month or so.
Yeah, well, I'm really happy that both in the Switzer Report and the Switzer Investing TV show, Bluescope was a stock that we actually gave the thumbs up to. So it's great to hear it's reporting well. And Paul, one last thing I would also say is that if the market does sell off, given what we are seeing overseas, that there is an economic boom that carries company profits in their share prices, you'd be a buyer of any dip on the basis that sometime in 2022, you'll get a nice repayment for the confidence in those stocks. I'm Peter Switzer, and he's Paul Rickard, and we're mad about money. And I'm mad about Zoom as well.